Hello my friends and welcome back to another challenge video. Today's challenge is quite interesting. So as you already know, in today's video I will be solving these 5 cubes from a scrambled state into their checkerboard pattern. So to show you how the end product will look, on the 3x3 and 5x5 we have a normal checkerboard pattern. But when we get to the 2x2 and 4x4, things get very interesting. Now because the layers are equal, this means they cannot have a checkerboard pattern. Therefore, 2 of their sides have to be solved with the rest of the cube being the checkerboard pattern. So this is the state I'm going to be solving the 4x4 and 2x2 in. Now initially I was only going to do the 2x2 to 5x5, but I decided to make it a little bit more interesting and add the square 1. Now the square 1's checkerboard pattern will look like this. This will be its end product. Now most of you are probably thinking that this is a waste of time, because all I can do is just solve for instance the 3x3 into its solve state and then afterwards place it into the checkerboard pattern. But as we all know, this would be cheating and I'm no cheater. So I'm going to be solving it directly from a scrambled state into this state. Now I will be doing the 2x2 with you at the beginning of the challenge to show you what my thinking process will be. Then I'm going to do a time lapse and in between I will do some commentary to show you what I have found on the challenge on that point. So without further ado, let me start scrambling the puzzles so that we can start with the challenge.
Oh, no, 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 no.
Okay, so now that I have all of these puzzles quite mixed up, let's start the challenge. So to start with the 2x2, I think what I'm going to be doing is just solve one of the sides that has to be solved. So we have orange solved. Now we already have these two that are in the correct spots, I think. So next we want the blue and white one over here. So probably not that one though. It's going to have to be this one and then this one to solve red, then to orient the corners like this. Now I'm going to swap these two to have the checkerboard pattern, and then I want to swap these two. So wiper, and we have placed it into the checkerboard state. So 2x2 is finished. Now for 3x3, I think what I'm going to be doing is just solve yellow edges first as cross. So like this. Then I'm going to solve all of the corners. I think they have to be like this. Yeah, I think they're going to have to be like this in their correct spots. So now we have one side checkerboarded. Now I'm going to do this like the beginner's method. So now we have the second layer. There we go. And we have the 3x3 into the checkerboard state. Now for 4x4, I'm going to start with the centers like I normally would. Or not like I normally would because I solve with the Yao method. Okay, so I have the centers finished now. I have these 4 centers in the checkerboard pattern with these 2 solved. Now let's move on to the edges. Okay, so I'm at the stage where I only have 4 edges left. As you can see, we have these solved with these paired up, Now let's move on to the last 4 edges. Okay, so I think I have all 4 of the edges paired up. Now I guess I'll just start somewhere and solve one side. Okay, so we have one side completed, I think. Okay, you know what? I'm going to grab another 4x4. I don't know if this is cheating. I'm hoping it's not. But all I'm going to do is use this as a reference because this is really confusing. I don't know where to begin. Okay, so we have one side with the checkerboard and we have one layer with the checkerboard pattern. So now I'm going to go on with a second layer, and I'm going to do it with beginner's method again because I find that to be easiest. Okay, so looks like we have the second layer finished as well. Now let's move on to last layer. It will be this algorithm. Okay, so looks like I have finished the 4x4 and it went actually a lot quicker than I thought it would. And I'm really glad that I chose to get a 4x4 to help me with this, because this would have been really either very difficult or impossible for me to do if I didn't have a reference to do this according to. So yeah, I think that using this 4x4 was the move. Now I'm going to go on with 5x5. And I think this is going to take the longest out of all of them. Okay, so I have the first two centers in the checkerboard pattern. Now let's move on to these centers. Now I'm going to use the same strategy I used with these centers. And this strategy is to get the edges in their correct spots like this. And then afterwards solve in the corners. So for instance, if I want to place this corner into this spot, what I will do is the following. I'm going to place it here, then move this block to the right hand side like this, pair them up, and then insert like this. Okay, so we have all of the centers in the checkerboard pattern. Now the hardest part is to pair up all of the edges. So what I found so far about this challenge is that it is quite disorienting to know which colors are paired up actually, because they aren't really paired up, but they are paired up at the exact same time. So yeah, it's just confusing. Okay, so after doing the parity algorithm now, I think I have all of the edges paired up correctly. Now it's just a matter of solving the cube using 3x3 stage. In 3x3 stage, this is actually a lot easier to recognize where the edges and things need to go than the 4x4. And the reason for this is that the corners over here are consistent. So since these are red, I want to have these orange. And these need to also match up with these. So since these are blue, these need to be green. So this edge needs to get into this spot. And there you go, it's in its correct spot. Now if I look for instance at this one, as you can see the corners are opposite. If you look at over here, you see the corners are opposite. So it needs to get into this spot. So I find that actually makes it a lot easier to solve than the 4x4. And as you can see, we're done with the second layer. I have the exact same OLL I had on 4x4. I have, what do I have? An ARPAN. So there we go, and it's solved into a checkerboard pattern. Now let's move on to the square one. Now I think for the square one, what I'm going to first do is solve this into a cube shape like this. Okay, So now the first thing would be to solve all of the corners like you normally would, like this. So now I want to get this edge swapped with this edge, so it needs to be like this. Do this algorithm. Okay, so I have checkerboard pattern on these two sides. Now I just need to get it on the sides. Swap them like this and like this, and voila, if we just do this, then we would have the checkerboard pattern on the square one. And this was actually a lot easier than I thought. I thought the square one was going to be a little bit more difficult, but yeah, so I've solved these 5 puzzles into their checkerboard pattern. So now for the moment of truth, I'm going to do the algorithm that I would use in order to get it into this pattern. So for 2x2 it would be like this. So I solved the 2x2 correctly. Let's see if I solved the 3x3 correctly. And of course I did. Now for the 4x4 it would be like this, then like this, this, and this. Okay, so 4x4 was solved correctly. 5x5. Solved correctly. I'm actually really surprised at how fast this went. I thought it was going to take ages to finish this. Oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. This. There we go. And yeah, this was actually a very fun problem solving challenge, which I really enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed the video. So I now want to thank you for watching this video. Would you please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it? I would really appreciate that. Also, make sure to subscribe if you're interested for more cubing challenges like this one. Now, if you have any idea for a challenge that I should do in my next video, let me know in the comments down below. I would really appreciate any idea. So thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in the next video.